Welcome, everybody. This is the Tellor Dev Call October 2nd, 2023. And today we're gonna go into our dev update as soon as I give you guys a little bit of an update of what we've been working on, so you guys have a little bit of background. The first half of the year, we basically spent it developing tools, monitoring tools for our users. And then the second half of the year, we actually are spending it doing research and getting Tellor Layer, which is gonna be Tellor's chain, basically a Tellor chain for next year. So that's what we've been up to. We've been researching it, and we are in the midst of finalizing the design and getting everything ready for hopefully launching next year. So with that, Owen, I guess you were here first. So.
Yeah, I'm working on moving some of my code over from loop chain to the Tellor layer repository, and then Akram, if we could sync up after this, that would be cool about the commit reveal stuff.
Nice. Tim, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm working on some Interchain Academy learning, some Cosmos SDK stuff, and kind of doing that side by side with then trying some code out and testing my skills. And then that will help me, hopefully allow me to move a little bit of stuff over from loop chain over one little piece. And then another update is, I think on the last dev call, I mentioned creating a forking game contract, a SchellingGame contract for the bridge. And so we have a contract version up, and I also wrote up a README, which kind of explains how that SchellingGame works. So you can find that. Maybe I'll share the link with you, Ryan. And yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah, awesome. So for Tellor Layer, we're basically developing the chain using Cosmos SDK, and then we're also developing a branch. Then eventually we'll do some upgrades to Telliot as well. Akram?
Yeah, I'm also working on Tellor Layer, trying to move it forward for an initial MVP, maybe, or initial draft. Did the commit reveal stuff last week, so I'm just building out the rest of the flow, or trying to build it out.
Nice. Dan?
I have some Lido and Tendermint research I'll be passing along shortly, and other than that, working through the academy.
Yeah, just to give a little bit of background on that, we're basically just looking at Lido and possibly maybe forking their clients. They are becoming quickly the majority of the nodes in Ethereum, and we think that's very dangerous. So anyway, we're pouring some research into that. Spotty?
Yeah, at the end of last week, I was working on the Telliot repos a little bit, trying to get tests to pass. I got pulled off of that, so I'm going to try to get back to that. Over the weekend, I made a video about telereporting that I'm kind of excited about. I'm going to edit it and add more to it and try to make it some really good content over time. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I saw it. It was nice. Looking forward to see what the end is.
Yeah, it's not this. The goal of these videos is not to like teach anybody how to do it as much as to talk about what telereporting actually is for people, because all the reporters are very, very quiet on the internet. Like, they're not talking in the Discord, they're not talking on Twitter. They don't tell the world, hey, I'm making a big profit reporting for Tellor. Like, they never talk, or like, I'm losing a whole bunch of money reporting for Tellor. Nobody says that. So it's been, like 4 years now. So I'm trying to get something out like that where it's kind of like an experiment. It's kind of a fun experiment.
Yeah, no, yeah, should be fun to track it. Brian?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of piggybacking on that same train, and I'm adding more of the like the beginner tutorial stuff for reporting. So I'm just polishing those videos up, and those should come out this week. So keep an eye out on the YouTube. Click like, subscribe.
Yeah, Ryan's videos will teach you how to do it, so it's different.
We're looking forward to both. Do we have any questions?
Yeah. Mayumas was interested in learning our take on the future of real-world assets and the role oracles will play with them. Any hot takes there?
I mean, eventually,
He's talking about being able to read information from Swift's system and broadcast it to the blockchain. I would wonder if Swift wants that.
so if like for transfers, for monetary transfers, is that what he's talking about?
How could Tellor be able to read external information systems like Swift? I guess it would be if they have an API that they're allowing us to read, which they probably don't.
Right, there has to be a public API. Real world assets are like stocks or like something like that. It's easier than like measuring like, I don't know, how much corn you have in a barn. You still have to depend on some sort of somebody to actually double check that. So I think it's just, it depends what people want to do online. I don't know that that's something that they would be a good use case, but in general, oracles are really good for things that you cannot find online, so they can play a part on it as long as the data is easily accessible and also easily or somewhat easily verifiable. But yeah, I don't have a hot take on it. Maybe Nick would have a hotter take than I would. So
I feel like also too, a lot of the regulatory environment kind of is dictating the future of them. So until that stuff gets polished out, then their future is kind of at least in the US, definitely.
yeah, I mean,
the term real world asset is like really broad. So it's like, do you mean real world assets as in dollars, or real world like which are tracked in bank systems, or do you mean like real world assets as in real estate, like properties? Those obviously can't live on a blockchain, so that's very, very difficult. Whereas like information that's lives on the internet, like maybe stocks. I mean, is a stock a real world asset? Because if so, those could absolutely be tokenized. But they would have to be tokenized by some kind of entity that can destroy the stock in the real world and mint it on the blockchain. Or, then who controls the real world asset while it's being traded on chain? That's kind of the problems with this stuff, right?
that's one of the reasons that it's mostly derivatives that live on chain.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, we'll see what people come up with. But yeah. And then we want to address the question that somebody brought up on the Discord about the operating grant. And basically that operating grant contract exists because about 2 years ago or so, we thought we were going to end up running Tellor as a DAO. And so that operating grant was going to give us basically a runway for about 2 years. And then after that, it would be up to the community to decide whether or not the team had done a good job and fund us for, to continue to do our job.
Which would have meant like minting more tokens to that contract. is what,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, there would have been more tokens to that contract, and it would have gone through a vote. The problem with that is that we actually went from thinking that a DAO was a really good idea to understanding that it was actually a security risk, where people could use the DAO to upgrade Tellor to something that was malicious or that didn't work, or to mint themselves tokens instead of the team. And we didn't think that we didn't want to, or we wanted to remove that attack vector. So we ended up not going in that direction. DAOs are very hard. It's very hard to get involvement from people. Even when we did our upgrades, when Tellor was still upgradable, it was very hard to round up people to actually vote and reach quorum. So we decided to basically move away from that way of functioning to just hard coding it into the protocol, and then just moving forward, we, instead of printing to the operating grant and going through a whole DAO vote, we just made it, we hard coded it, and that's what it is. That's what we get. If we do a good job, hopefully the price of the token supports the team. And if we don't do a good job, then, we might not survive. So it keeps our incentives in line with trying to grow the project for the long term. And everybody in the team is full-time, so it's not like, we're doing this on the side. We are very committed to Tellor and making it something that we can be proud of and that lasts a very, very, very long time. So yeah, hope that answers your question. But yeah.
Sign me up.
But yeah, so I guess that's it. That's it for the
We
call.
also had one more question from Moyamos. It was at the bottom of the question we already read, but he just said, if I just have $1 million in my DeFi protocol, why do I need 20 nodes? I think oracles need to have a modular security system with thousands of independent oracle networks tailored to different security needs. Yeah, so it sounds like he's asking about, shouldn't we be able to tailor our amount of security?
I think if I had $1 million in a DeFi protocol, I would definitely want a decentralized oracle to secure that, like, rather than just trusting some guy to control what price my assets is worth if I have $1 million.
Yeah.
Why is he referencing 20 nodes? What is he talking about?
Probably Chainlink.
I don't know. But I do see modular security, and that just makes me think of Tellor Layer. You do have a lot more customizability in your data security. But I mean, it does make sense, like, to be able to change the amount of cost behind a piece of data depending on, the amount of security my protocol needs.
Right, because we're tying it to the query ID now, right?
Maybe. Means. So there's several aspects in terms of security, and obviously the Oracle needs to be, in my opinion, decentralized and secure in its own. But also when you're building and designing your own protocol, you don't just rely on the Oracle. You're going to have to, one, have a very, very good and robust definition of the data that you need, so that you make it very expensive to actually somebody to go and manipulate it. Two, once you have that, making sure that you have an infrastructure for your Oracle implementation that actually matches the security that you need for your protocol. Meaning you may want to use more than one Oracle. It is harder to break more than one Oracle. They work differently. They have different attack vectors. It just makes it more expensive. Whether you want to use multiple of them, and then the last part is what kind of backstops does the protocol that you're using has in place in case anything bad happens. What kind of security basically freezing the system, can they fork? Do they have like a time where withdrawals are not allowed, or that, in case something happens, they can actually freeze the system and they don't run away with your funds. So it's, when you were talking about security, it definitely has to do, we're trying to design something that is extremely secure with Tellor layer, like Tim said. We're gonna have the ability to do a little bit more customizations, but ultimately the security of the DeFi protocol that you're using is going to depend on those three things: how well they define their data and how robust it is, how they implement the oracle or oracles, and then what are the backstops that they have in case something really bad happens. And then if you trust that they have a very good system, then by all means put $1 million in there. But if you don't, or if you didn't do your research, or if you have questions, ask the team. Make sure that your money is safe wherever you put it, and it's not just reliant on just one part of the puzzle being secure. There are plenty of protocols that have implemented secure oracles, but they've done a bad implementation of it, and they can get exploited. In the past, auditors were not as vigilant to make sure that the implementation was actually secure. I think now with hacks and things that have happened, they become a little bit more focused on that because of the things that have happened. But it's, the implementation is so important, because two protocols can be so secure on their own, but when they're implemented together, if they're not implemented correctly, they are going to have, or they can have, security issues. So I don't know if that answers their question, but security is super important. Obviously, we're doing everything that we can to have a very, very secure design for the next phase of Tellor. And you guys know how it works now, and I think it's pretty secure the way that it is, but it has to be implemented correctly. So, I don't know.
Quick note that Nick's in Istanbul at Cosmoverse, so if you're out in Cosmoverse, hit him up.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to be there the whole week, so if you guys are out there, go talk to him. I think that's it for today, and we'll see you guys next week.